The senator from Alexandria, Senator Ebbin.
Could we return to the morning hour for a point of personal privilege and a motion?
The senator has the floor.
Thank you. I didn't want to do this yesterday because the hour was late, but as Black History Month draws to a close, I wanted to reflect on the rich and sometimes bleak Black history in my city of Alexandria. We have an important history of both bad and good, progressing from slave auctions in Market Square in front of our city hall 150 years ago to the election of our first black mayor less than 20 years ago. And I'd like to bring to the attention of the body the new PBS series titled Mercy Street, which airs on Sundays at 10 p.m. Though it's filmed in Petersburg and Richmond, Mercy Street is set in 19th century Alexandria, depicting the struggles of numerous Alexandrians as the Civil War changes their way of life. Audrey Davis, the director of Alexandria's Black History Museum, is a consultant to the show and provides history of the time period to make it as accurate as possible. Thanks to her work and many others, passionate historians humanize history as the stories portrayed in the series are grounded in the meaningful accomplishments of real 19th century Virginians. And it exposes the uncomfortable truth that regardless of their knowledge and life-saving capabilities, prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, African-American doctors were not permitted to practice medicine. Even 100 years after, hospital discrimination was still widespread throughout the country and in many jurisdictions legally sanctioned. Black professionals were often barred from medical staffs and as patients from beds and services, and even the American Medical Association had discriminatory policies excluding or discouraging blacks from participating in their organization until the 1960s. On Mercy Street, one of the doctors who practiced is epitomized in the character of Sam Diggs, a free black man who grew up in Philadelphia in a Philadelphia doctor's household and who showed immense courage in risking his life to save another by performing an emergency surgery against the law and in secrecy. The story of Mr. Diggs is inspired by real-life African-American doctors who served during the Civil War. A particularly important one is Martin Delaney, born in 1812 in what was then the Virginia city of Charlestown to a free mother and an enslaved father. As Delany and his siblings began to read and write, their mother moved them to Pennsylvania as Virginia law banned African Americans from obtaining any education. Delaney's move to Pennsylvania allowed him to expand educational opportunities. He became one of the first 3 African Americans to be accepted to Harvard Medical School. Protests by white students, however, ended Delaney's Harvard medical career after just 1 term. Unfazed, Delany studied medicine under the tutelage of abolitionist doctors like Dr. Andrew McDowell, Dr. Julius Lemoyne, and Dr. Joseph Gazem. He would establish his own practice based on the knowledge acquired from these doctors. Martin Delaney went on to serve bravely in the Union Army. He was commissioned as a major in the 104th Regiment of the United States Colored Troops. And Delaney became the first African-American field officer in the Civil War. I ask that during this month we recognize Major Martin Delaney and countless others whose stories are lost to history for following their passions and contributing greatly to our nation. And Mr. President, I move that when we adjourn today, we do so in the memory and honor of Major Martin Delaney, a trailblazer and hero for our nation.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The senator from Lynchburg, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate now adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow, and when we do so in memory of Major Martin Delaney.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon on Monday, and that when we do so, we do it in memory of Major Martin Delaney? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 o'clock noon Monday.